Pushkin. Sorry, I should have had this tested before you got
No, it's all good. I like that.
Cool.
Who's that?
That's the Burundi Black
Wow.
cut. Have you heard that?
No, sounds great.
Cool. I put this together. It's the original comes from here.
Wow. Wow.
Wow.
Burundi drummers.
Burundi drummers, yeah. And then it got picked up by this fool.
Malcolm McLaren.
Malcolm McLaren, exactly.
And Adam and the Ants.
Adam and the Ants.
Yeah, the beginning.
Yeah, that's what McLaren said to Adam and the Ants. Said you got to take the Burundi beat and put pop music on the top.
And I always wondered if Gary Glitter,
Yeah, I mean,
did he get it from that? Because
this is fucking glam. This is hey, rock and roll. Yeah,
yeah, like I'm like,
yeah.
it's different, but it's not
Yeah.
sampled, and it's not quite the beat.
No.
But even the hey is similar to the
Exactly.
the original.
It's tribal.
record. Yeah, which is crazy.
He's of course persona non grata in the UK.
Well, yeah,
But-
it's got some
Yeah.
great records though. That's all.
But the sound, right?
The sound is great.
Unbelievable.
I thought it was really corny growing up when I was going to whatever games or whatever, and they would play that. But
But that Kanye track, Black Suede Head,
Black Skinhead.
Skinhead, that's obviously, he was listening to, well, there's something going on there, cross-pollination with Gary Glitter and...
I think he just sampled it.
Did he
I
sample
think
it?
he just sampled it. It's my
Oh, did he?
thing.
Probably.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, of course he would. It's
Could
not
be
gonna-
wrong. Yeah, and then Joni Mitchell did it too. Did you ever hear that?
No. Well, she
did-
sampled that. Well,
she just took. Yeah, she sampled it actually.
Gary Glitter,
Not Gary Glitter,
Burundi.
the Burundi.
Oh, wow.
She did.
that's
What is that? Hissing a Summer Lawn. She did it on Jungle Line.
Wow.
Rousseau walks on trumpet pad.
Wow, that's so cool.
Really
I don't
wild.
know this.
So
beautiful.
It's really wild. This album's wild.
I need to listen to this record.
Yeah, you'll dig it.
Hissing the Summer Lawns.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know
out
it.
there, man. It's
I
out
know
there.
of it, but I don't know it.
It's out there. I didn't really know it too well until recently.
Yeah.
It's one of those records. There's a lot of records like that. I
I
guess.
know, I
where
love that.
I try and I try and I try and I don't know, and then all of a sudden it
Yeah, it opens up.
opens up.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing. The gift of music.
Yeah. Which that happened for I was reading a bit. That happened for you a couple of times, right? Like I
Yeah,
saw Zeppelin. You didn't really even get into.
I didn't hear Zeppelin until I remember we were touring the Bends, and I was living on my own. Came back for Christmas, finished that, and I never heard Led Zeppelin. And I had a girlfriend, and she lived in Monmouth. I went to see her, and Monmouth is the studio where, Robert Plant used to live in Monmouth, and I think Zeppelin recorded there. And I suddenly Zeppelin opened up because we were so tribal growing up. I was in the alternative goth, Smiths, and in the 80s, the kids who were listening to Zeppelin were all in denim jackets, leather jackets, and rockers.
Yeah.
And it was so you just didn't cross those lines, which was such a shame. And then Zeppelin opened up, and I love Zeppelin. I mean, I understand Zeppelin in a way. I feel it, like the spiritual element of Zeppelin. Is there a better big track ever than Kashmir?
No.
I mean, that's a spiritual, that is like a Himalayan track in terms of, a peak of musical and sonic power.
Yeah. It's why I re-listened to that recently. I hadn't heard it in a long time, and it's just really bugged out.
You know that live version that they did when they played that one-off gig, the Arma Ertegun? They did it at the O2 in London in 2007.
Yeah.
It's fucking unbelievable. Dare I say it, I think it's got a vibe. It's more powerful than the record.
Really?
It's unbelievable. Wow. It's unbelievable. And just, yeah, what a track. It's like,
It's insane. I'll have to listen to that.
It's really good.
I kind of avoided. I was young at that time, but I was like, man, maybe I can just like get some money and get out there and go see that or something. But it was insanely expensive. I had a friend out here who somehow won tickets through the radio.
Yeah.
And won a whole trip.
Wow.
Like got flown out and went. I was like so jealous. I stopped talking to him. I think I was pissed.
I wanted to go, but I didn't play the Radiohead card, which I probably should have in hindsight. Was kind of reluctant to do that, and I should have done that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd still not got a ticket. Who's to know that would have done anything?
Well, I'm sure there. And I wonder too to what degree, and maybe you'll know more. And I didn't realize that the UK, because in America it was definitely that segmented.
Yeah.
If you were into alternative music or punk or anything like that, or even like hip hop, like it was hard to cross. Yeah. Over into like things that felt more commercial but I wonder if it cut the other way too, like for those guys, if they were like, who gives a fuck about Radiohead in a way?
No, totally.
Like,
I'm sure it does. And I think what I love about now, and a lot of people it's very easy in the current age to be a naysayer about the culture of music and what's happening now. But I see it in my kids, and what I love is there's no such thing as a guilty pleasure. We grew up with this concept of a guilty pleasure. Like, I remember having to hide stuff that I loved, but I was like, I remember when I was at university when Madonna Vogue came out, and I was doing my finals, and I was into the Stone Roses, Happy Mondays, Pixies, blah, blah, and I sort of semi-hid the fact that I loved that song. But what's great now is that kids are just like, I like that, I like that. There doesn't seem to be those divisions.
There's really not. And there's a ton of benefit to that. I think there's some drawbacks.
What are they? That's interesting. What do you think?
The drawback to me is, I thought about this recently when Quentin Tarantino got in trouble for like shitting on a couple of actors recently.
Oh, was it Paul Dano?
Paul Dano.
Yeah, that was so cruel.
It was cruel. But, part of me, I started thinking about it.
Yeah.
Irrespective of what you think about Paul Dano, who I think was great and There Will Be Blood. Yeah. But it's sort of like, I started thinking about like Miles Davis.
He used to do that a lot. Diss people, right?
Would just cut people to the fucking ground, friends even, Yeah. And then I started thinking about...
do you think people are too nice?
Maybe people, I don't want to say that, but sometimes the job is to take a stand.
And to say how you feel.
Yeah,
no, I get you. We were talking about this yesterday about music publications. When we grew up, we used to have these publications, these music mags called NME and Melody Maker. And NME was ruthless.
Yeah.
And they hated Radiohead in the early days. They called us a lily-livered excuse of a rock band. I'm quoting. But, you'd read that review and it had an impact. And it was like, it sharpened your acting a bit. You go like, fuck, okay, fuck you, all right, we're going to fucking show you. So yeah, there was definitely a little bit of gnarliness or just speaking the truth. You're right, I think a lot of people it's interesting, it's finding that balance. I think you can, what I found for me, I like to speak the truth, but I like speaking truth with kindness.
Yeah.
Because, you can also, like Miles is Miles, he grew up in a toughest era, right?
Yeah.
So he has it's like, only the fittest survive, in this. And there's something to that, but also you can lose people along the way. And, it's like, I'm really into sport, particularly soccer. And the generation of soccer players now, they're not like 30 years ago, which you had that fittest survive and it was tough. The great managers, very much like, I think they follow people like your man, Phil Jackson, who coached the Bulls, right?
Yeah.
They know how to massage
and the Lakers,
and the Lakers,
and the Lakers.
As well, of course. Are you a Lakers?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Sorry,
that's okay.
But they're more enlightened, and they go, okay, that guy needs that girl needs that, And I kind of quite like that. I like that we've kind of moved on a little bit more. But having said that, it was funny. It was, but you can bring people down. And listen, I'm one of those people as well. I grew up in a tough love era, but actually I thrive more when I'm given a bit more support. And in my own music, I need to know I can do it.
I'll say I'm the same way. I'm the same way. So I struggle as well.
Yeah.
And I think the trade-offs are largely probably worth it, you know. But I do think about that. I'm like, there's probably sometimes, you know, like the idea of there being no gatekeepers now sometimes is a little like, you know, we're gonna Ahmed Erdogan.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I mean, maybe some things didn't get through that should have, but I mean, thank God he was there.
Thank God. You know? You're right. And we do. Yeah, it's true.
Mo Austin. You know, some of those old guys. You know,
all those old guys. Chris Blackwell, Island Records.
Yeah.
All these people, like real music guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of miss that.
Yeah.
Speaking of kind of harsh critics, I guess, I didn't realize until just today that John Peel wasn't really. I was going to ask you about John Peel, but then I found out he wasn't so supportive.
No, we weren't his kind of band. But then I remember a story. When we played Glastonbury in 97, we headlined Glastonbury on the Saturday night, which was sort of is on the OK Compute, right at the start of the OK Compute, and he traditionally did like the TV and radio that went out. And one of the DJs, Marianne Hobbs, who's sort of always been a champion of the band, she and him were watching that performance, and he said afterwards to her, he said, "Oh, I think I need to revisit Radiohead." And we were really keen when Kid A came out. We were like, "Please, can Peel play?" And I think Peel did. We never got to do a visit to Peel Acres, which we never did a Peel session.
You didn't do a session ever?
No, because I think we would have subsequently, but he died. But I think that we were just not, you know, the first album was a bit confusing for a lot of people, not the least us. And we were on a major label. He always gravitated towards independent labels. And we had a monster hit in Creep. So that kind of, we're immediately, nope, not having that.
Yeah.
So it took us a lot. It was just, I think we just kept on knocking at the door and, you know, but we could have got in there, but yeah, but that's okay.
Was the first record confusing because it was such a hit out the gate and that was confusing?
No, it was confusing. Well, there was that. I mean, that was a blessing, obviously, in hindsight, because I think otherwise we would have been dropped. It was, we just didn't know what we were doing, that kind of the level of commitment and what it took to, the level of seriousness that it required to do what we were doing. And I think inevitably, I mean, some bands come straight, some artists come straight out of the box, right?
Yeah.
But we were one that we were still trying to find our voice collectively, and also Tom lyrically, I think, was trying to find his voice. So we hadn't got our shit together, and it's just those things can take a bit of time, and you need people to sort of knock you down to find the way as well. You need to find a robustness, and you need to look at a few photo shoots you've done and go like, we look really crap.
Yeah.
And you go, okay, we need to wear black. I mean, you know, all that stuff.
Because you're just saying yes to things and not quite knowing.
Yeah, and you don't know what you're doing. And so you make these mistakes very publicly. And as long as you learn from them and evolve from them, that's fine. It's so I think we did.
Yeah.
And we just worked really hard. It made us knuckle down even more. So the second album comes along, it's like, okay. Because people said we were one-hit wonders. And in a way, that album it kind of is that. And we were like, all right, every single song on this next album is going to be a tune.
Yeah, and it was.
Thank you.
Well, it was. You know, you're talking about kind of finding yourselves as a band. I'm curious about finding yourself as a guitar player.
Yeah.
Leading up to talking about your new record. If you had to look back at the various eras of your playing from the beginning when you first pick it up to now. Do you see distinct eras in your playing?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the first album is really, it's very simple. I mean, we had a, if you like, a formula, which was quiet verses and loud choruses. So the loud choruses meant that all three of us, Tom, Johnny, and myself, would stamp on distortion pedals, and then the verses would be minimal. And also, I think in a way that it was in a way supporting. My role in that was very simple. I didn't play lead, so it was supporting Johnny in that respect. And that was the thing. But for me, it was a little bit one-dimensional, you know, in terms of my own playing. And that's the kind of music we were doing then. I mean, there's a track on there, Blowout, which I played got a sound. And that's when I first sort of got a crazy sound or a sound that was different and sort of riffed on that. And I remember it was really on the second album it started to open up with me. We were sort of more interested in, you get bored of things. So that guitar distorted onslaught became something we used less and less. We still used it, but it wasn't as, it was just, we were more interested in textures and sounds. And that for me was really, I remember we worked on Planet Telex, and those guitar sounds were all things that I programmed. I had a rack unit, a Korg rack unit, and so I was really into that. And then, OK Computer for me, it really flowered. And what was interesting about that was that because when you're playing clubs, that kind of quiet verse, loud chorus thing with distorted guitars works really well.
Yeah.
Bang, it's in your face.
Yeah.
Well, you start getting more success and you're playing bigger venues. And I remember by the time we're touring 96 between the Benz and OK Computer, I mean, we did these shows in Canada that were essentially our first arena shows. And these songs, that kind of thing doesn't work so well. And we were sound checking stuff off OK Computer like Let Down. And suddenly, a clean delayed guitar sounded so beautiful in these bigger spaces. So I think the sound developed as the venues changed. And because we always road tested new material, that was always the point, like sound checks to alleviate the boredom of the road and playing the same songs. We would sound check new songs and we would also play them in the set. So as the venues got bigger, we could use the acoustics of the room. And for me, that's when it really, I think for me, OK Computer was the moment I really felt like as a guitarist, I was sort of finding my stride. I think it was very obvious what Johnny did from a very early stage, this incredible lead, this powerful lead thing. And, he was able to do stuff that I couldn't do that stuff. That wasn't in me. I just didn't do it. But as we changed, like I became just sort of obsessed with sound, and it just sort of developed from there. And a Kid A was another leap. And then, it's been great. It was great sort of laboratory. And the great thing about Radiohead was it was, the weirder the sounds, the more encouragement you got.
Yeah. from
everybody, and it was always trying to, lots of the weird sounds never got in, but it was trying to get this stuff sounded. I've always loved sound. You realize what makes you tick, and sound is something that sound for me is very visual, and when I connect with something, I connect sonically, but I connect it very visually. And that's what floats my boat, really.
Did you always know that? Was it always clear to you that sound?
It's interesting, looking back. Why did I want to pick up the guitar? I heard the Beatles. I had amazing music exposed to in the 70s through Top of the Pops, this British this TV show. It's an amazing weekly TV show. But it wasn't until I heard the Police, and it was specifically the track "Walking on the Moon" and Andy Summers' guitar playing, and the sound of the track has got all this reverb delay, and it was suddenly, what I loved about it was that track sounded as if it was recorded on the moon. I imagined it would be. I could feel like the moon, and so I think
it had that lilt to it, like whatever.
They did the Roland Space Echo, famously, and also the Echoplex. Stuart Copeland put delay on his drums, the Space Echo, I believe, and Andy Summers had an Echo.
He put it on his drums?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he did. I've seen some lovely footage. They went to Manny's in New York and bought a load of gear, and he bought a Space Echo, and Stuart Copeland's drumming with a Space Echo on it, man. It was like killer.
That's wild.
Yeah, really wild. And he'd play it in live. So
he must have played differently.
Yeah, well, that's right. But he had the monitor, he'd have it with him. So in the studio, so he was actually the monitors, it was coming through. So it's just extraordinary stuff. Wow. Yeah. And of course, they would have got that through the reggae and the dub influence. Right. The Space Echo being a really important part of the, dub and reggae arsenal. So yeah, I think it was those, and then I was very lucky because I grew up in an era of post-punk, which was really so creative. Yeah. And you had players like John McGeoch, who was this. He played with Magazine and Susie.
And the Banshees,
Susie and the Banshees, great. Juju, all the Spellbound and stuff. Like his he was next level. And then he went on to play with Lydon and Pill and all that stuff. And
I didn't know he played with Public Enemy. I didn't know.
Yeah, he I think he joined. He was in a band after Susie and the Banshees. He formed a band with Richard Jobson from the Skids called The Armory Show.
Oh, right.
Not great. Oh. And then, but then he joined.
What a letdown.
Yeah, but then he joined an incarnation of Pill, and he did. There was that album. Is it with Happy on it? And really good.
It's like the
really good.
Yes, it has. That's like the.
Is everybody happy?
Yeah, he played on that.
He played on that. Yeah, and it's McGeoch. It's like classic McGeoch playing.
Did you ever Susie and the Banshees is they're such a mystery to me, but I love them.
Yeah.
Did you ever get to meet? He passed away, but did you ever get to meet him? Or
but I think Susie. Tom said that when we did the Radiohead shows last year, Susie came to the London show, and thinks she's friends with Tom. Wow. I mean, she's just the queen.
Yeah,
the queen of punk.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
one of my favorites.
Yeah, no, and she did that. Had a beautiful. She graduated from the School of Punk and went on this incredible journey. So yeah, they again deeply creative.
Yeah. So back to sound turns you, and it's and when you say sound is what does it for you. It's more tech. It's all music sound, but it's the texture.
Yeah, the texture and the texture of it. And I don't like. I mean, one of the things on my album was I'm always trying to undigitize it. I don't like it when it's too clean. Particularly on this record, I was really sort of kind of obsessed with that era of recording from about 68, 69 to 73, 74. Yeah. And particularly, for me, what characterized that was you had the move from sort of analog, but you were getting transistors in the amps and some of the components, which gave you clearer top end. Okay. So I'm thinking in terms of recording, so Miles in a Silent Way, Minnie Riperton, any of the, the Charles Stepney stuff, we
were with Earth, Wind and Fire yesterday.
Were you?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
They were here yesterday.
Wow. Right.
We're talking. I played them the demo that Charles Stepney did of "That's the Way of the World."
That's the Way of the World.
That's the Way of the World. Like it was a Charles Stepney demo first. Wow. And I played. They were like, kind of like they hadn't heard it since way back then.
Wow.
Philip Bailey was like, I think it had like a Latin kind of flavor to it, and then. Like I put it on, he's like, "Oh yeah, that's the thing I heard way back before we cut it." It was nuts.
Well, they were like, I mean, Earth, Wind and Fire. There's a lot to say they were the greatest group ever. I know a lot of people say like the Beatles were, but I would hit back with Earth, Wind and Fire and Sly and the Family Stone.
There's something about those three, not too dissimilar either, and just they're the
greatest. They're like
Stevie Wonder, maybe.
Stevie
too,
Wonder. Well, he was a solo. Listen, I was saying this just now at KCRW. Has there ever been an artist who's had a greater run of albums than Stevie did from like 68 right through to Hotter Than July in 1980?
Yeah.
Nobody has.
People forget about Hotter Than July
That's unbelievable.
Too. It's a killer.
Unbelievable. I remember seeing, what was the single off it called?
There was
Jammin'.
Master Blaster.
Holy shit, when that was on Top of the Pops, I remember and Stevie had the dreads with the beads.
Yeah.
And I didn't know all of Stevie's, I was a kid, so I didn't know Stevie's stuff before that, but I remember actually the joy of discovering Stevie properly in 1992 and Innovision? What?
Yeah.
Talking about first fulfilling this first finale, It's just unbelievable. So yeah, I think in terms of bands though, Sly and Earth, Wind and Fire and the Beatles, just take your pick on whatever mood or day you want, right?
Yeah, and not just because you're here.
Yeah,
but Radiohead might slip in there somewhere. It may not have been long enough.
If we're in the B list. We could the C list, the D list of that lot. I'd take that as long as.
But there's a similarity. I guess the parallels would be really tight. I don't even know if you want to say that, but just really great songs. Great songs. Songs seem to come first.
Yeah.
And then I was talking to Earth, Wind and Fire about that yesterday. It's because, it's like their arrangements were so wild on Earth, Wind and Fire songs. But the songs did not get lost ever. You knew even as a lay person, you knew exactly what was happening and where it was going. Yeah. But there was something way crazier happening underneath, and that's the Beatles. That's Sly. That's that.
And what the other ingredient? Yeah. Family. that we're all family. You know, like my Radiohead's Band of Brothers, Sly, family, Stone family, Earth, Wind and Fire family, how many Whites, you know, they're family. They become families, and like families, they argue and they do all of that. But there's a lot of love, and I think that is because music is magic. You know, that the medium we work in there's, you know, as Quincy Jones used to say, like, you know, you wait for God to walk through the room, you know, and there is that, and there's the magic of that. How do you summon God? Well, first of all, you have to work hard, spirit. That's a given. But the second thing, I think spirit comes through you when it can see the love. And the love doesn't have to be your old pally. The love is just, it's there. Yeah. It's like it's a brotherhood, a sisterhood. Yeah. Well, Maurice White, I mean, like, what was he trying to do? He was trying to make sacred music, essentially, right? Yeah. Shift the consciousness of the world. Yeah. That's spirit. So we're all conduits. That band, when they're in it, they're working as one. I mean, has there ever been a tighter band than Earth, Wind and Fire? They didn't have any click tracks. Yeah. And they're in it, but they were co-creating with spirit. Yeah. So I think, and the Beatles, you know, definitely were as well. I think there's that element is, as I understand it, kind of from the inside. That's a huge part of. Now, my brothers in the band might go, "What are you talking about?" Fucking, you know, but that's what I feel, and that's kind of, I know.
I feel this is a really good. I hate segues that are too good, but Incantations is the first. Right. Then I feel like maybe we should listen a little bit. Yeah. There we go.
Nice sub on that system.
It's crazy. It sounds so good. I'm hearing stuff. Yeah. I'm hearing stuff I didn't hear before. Yeah. On the stream. It's amazing, man.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Talk about textures. There's all kinds of textures. There's so much. There's the range, the dynamism of that is wild. How did that song come about?
That was when the sort of the first shoots of this album were really from a very dark place, and I fell into this sort of very dark depression, which I sort of have reframed it, and it was like a dark night of the soul. And that was one of the songs during this process. One of the things I did, I had a daily practice, which was literally just pick up my guitar and play, go to this little room. It was in the second lockdown, and I would play for 3 hours. And it was just therapy. And that was one of the songs, one of the musical motifs. So the cyclical guitar riff sort of emerged in one of these sittings. And when I heard it, I was like, oh, that's the place that I am. I felt like I was in this labyrinth. I was stuck in this labyrinth. I didn't know how to get out this place. And you know the story of the Greek myth of Theseus and the Minotaur, and Theseus gets thrown in the labyrinth, and which is this maze that was constructed by King Minos of Crete, and there was a beast in there, and in order to get out, he had to slay the beast, but you'd get lost, so nobody had got out, and the king's daughter had fallen in love with him, and her name was Ariadne, and Ariadne had this thread that she gave to Theseus as he was descended down, and so he had to follow this thread out, but on the way he also had to slay the Minotaur, this half man, half beast. So that was literally, so that it's funny with music, what I think is extraordinary about the medium music is that, you know, music is essentially maths. It's mathematical intervals in patterns.
Yeah.
And that this music can come out of you, or it's, you know, I don't know how it happens, and it somehow manages to capture the emotion of where you are at that time. So that was a really dark place, and for me that was always the opener of the album. And you know, the whole idea of incantations was, I had this feeling that I spend a lot of time in Wales, in our houses in Wales, and it's in the hills there, and it's very wild countryside, it's very ancient. Wow. And there's a power in this land, you can feel it. And I had this image of, like, so a lot of the time I go walking in these ancient old trails that are like thousands of years old, and you could feel it. But I could feel the power of the land, and I felt that was healing me. Wow. So I felt incantations are like spells, and ancient, you know, it's very Celtic, a lot of, you know, Celtic spirituality, they invoked spirit. And my image was of that Shakespeare play, Macbeth, the three witches around the cauldron in this wood, and the cauldron's bubbling, and there's a fire, and they're delivering spells. They go toil, toil, bubble, and trouble. And I had this thing of like, the earth is going to heal me. Wow. You know, she's going to heal me. And so that's what I was sort of throwing into the mix of this dark place. And it was, yeah, it's sort of, you know, it's funny how these things emerge. And it wasn't a conscious thing. I wasn't like, the thing about this record was I wasn't controlling it in a way. It just comes out. And my job was to not get in the way. My job was, what is this?
Yeah.
I didn't know what I knew I kind of didn't know where we were starting, and I didn't know where we were finished, but I knew when we were finished.
Yeah.
You know, I knew, it's okay, but that was what's so beautiful about this whole process, was just letting go. What is this?
So, but it started with just you in a room,
yeah,
and a guitar,
yeah,
and it slowly became a little more.
Yeah, it really got to a stage whereby, and I was working with Paul Epworth and Riley McIntyre, and Paul's a brilliant co-writer, and so we would sort of work stuff up in my studio and in his studio, the three of us, and then it gets to a time when I need to get musicians in, I need to get a band in. So he's my brother, Dave Akumu. He's a solo artist in his own right. He played on my first record. I've known him for a while. I went to see his band play at the Roundhouse in London. His band, the Seven Gens, Dave Akumu and the Seven Gens. And it was mesmeric. And I saw it, and it was just at the time that I was thinking, I need to get a band together. And finding a musical family is not easy, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. So I was like, Dave, can you put a band together? And he said, how about the Seven Gens? I said, I'm in. So these incredible players, Eve Fernandez on bass, Dan C on drums, Crispin Fry on percussion, Nick Ram on keys, and Eska, who became she's a vocalist for Dave as well. She became a really important part of the whole project.
Amazing.
So I sort of borrowed his family, and we had 3 days of recording, and it was just kind of a utopian recording experience. These guys are so good, and they got the vibe as the song. I remember that song was the first song we did, and I think we did it on a Monday. Everybody gets in, we start playing 11, And I remember Riley, because I kind of primed it. I said, listen, and he knew the musical references. I said, I want it to sound like, I want it to sound like that era, 68, 73. I don't want it to sound too digital. It's not be clean. I kept on saying there's got to be dirt under the fingernails here. You got to feel the earth.
Yeah.
You got to feel that, you got to feel the saturation. I was really influenced. Who does it obviously really well is Inflow and Danger Mouse.
Yeah.
All the work they did with Michael Kiwanuka, right? I love the saturation. I love the sound of those records.
Great records.
Right? And so Riley knew, and so I remember we'd gone through a couple of takes and just, settled down, everyone have a cup of tea, and Riley played me monitor mix. I was like, shit, okay, we've got the sound, the playing's good. It was amazing. And in Paul's studio, which is an old church.
Yeah.
A holy space, was just kind of magical.
Wow, it's an old church that he
he
on his property.
Well, no, it's in Crouch End in London. It was originally owned by Dave Stewart of the Eurythmics. He owned it, and actually Radiohead, we recorded some Voco Computer in there back in '97.
Wow.
And then he sold it to David Gray, and then Paul bought it off David Gray, I don't know, in about 2013, 2014, because Paul was a he worked with Adele and co-wrote Rolling in the Deep and produced that.
Right.
So he put all his good fortune into this amazing studio and has got the best gear and has just made it this incredible space. Wow. 2 studios there as well.
And he came from Block Party.
Yeah, that's right. Paul came from that background, and then he found himself to be, was producing Florence and the Machine, right. Adele, and then went on. He became like the A-list producer.
Yeah.
And went down, plowed that furrow for a while.
Must have been nice to get back to this a bit, though.
Yeah, I think it was good. What was lovely about it was we connected. I mean, when I worked with Paul, I wasn't working with him because he was the A-list producer.
Yeah.
I work with people who, I realize this, I work with people that I love. Yeah. I can't do it with people I don't love.
Why?
Because it's such a personal thing you spend so much time with them. And I'm just like one of those people. I'm a heart person. So Paul and I connected. You know those moments in life when you talk to somebody. We spoke on the phone before we'd ever met.
Yeah.
We're off and running for an hour.
Yeah.
And it's like a soul connection. And so I think it was great for both of us. It was great for me because he's an incredible songwriter. So it was great to bounce ideas off him. And he Solfeggio, the track Solfeggio, he started that, he initiated that. Yeah. So it was, because when you're a solo artist, you need people to riff with. The more ideas, the better.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really amazing working with him.
Did you ever find it getting too far from where you wanted it and you had to move it back, or was it all
I didn't know where we were going, so I was embracing it all, and it was very much, I'm going to use that word leaning into, but I'm really leaning into serendipity and synchronicity, because I have a very strong spiritual practice, and what's been beautiful about this journey is that I have this utter conviction, and I know that you have everything around you're given everything around you in order to evolve. You have all the all the things you're given. So when you meet people and seemingly chance happenings or occurrences, are given to you, there's often things there. So I really lent into that, and if the music wanted to take a left turn, we just followed that, and I didn't worry. What I was good about was I would flag out, I would say, okay, I'm not feeling this. But again, what's been really, one of the things I learned on this record was, in the past, and certainly where I've come from, if you flag up saying, I'm not feeling this, the onus is to find a solution and to go, I'm not feeling this, but we should do this.
Yeah.
And I was just like, not into that. I was like, I'm not feeling this, but I don't know what to do. And leaving the space that you don't know, you don't have the answer. Because I think the ego wants to go, I know how to sort this out. This is what we do. This is the way forward. But what I do is I would go, Paul, Riley, I don't know why, I'm just not feeling this. And it's almost everyone can tell in the room, and you go, well, I don't know. And what was so amazing was within an hour you'd found the solution. But the solution, like the riff that emerges, it comes through you. So it's what I feel like it is you're leaving room for spirit to go, okay, I've got the solution.
Yeah.
And you just pick it up. It's like, okay, it's that.
Yeah.
So it's all part of the process of letting go. And that for me is why I mean, I've gone up another love in creativity and recording, because the less I know, I feel the richer it becomes, or the less input, or the less I have solutions. It's like, oh, it wants to go this way.
Yeah.
And I love that, because that's where you get surprises.
Yeah.
Rather than like imposing your own rigid idea of what it should be. I'm not into that. I'm like, I don't know what this is. Let's see what it is. You have the things that you resonate with, like you point out, like, I love this sound. And, and we did a whole thing, spent a couple of days, like listening to music that, from that era, and also Kiwanuka and a lot of Salt stuff. We're going like, I love this. I love the sound of that. And so you build up like a mood board of sounds and kind of flavors. And then you go, but that again is intuitive. And what's intuition? It's like following another thread.
Yeah.
So I really love that whole kind of, like I said, letting go is it's just amazing.
It's interesting listening to you talk, and I'm realizing as I'm thinking this through, I mean, art really is one of the few spaces in life where getting lost is a virtue.
And I think when I heard someone say a definition of an artist, it's like it's really following your intuition.
Yeah.
And I think that's so amazing, because the mind can go. What's so interesting? The mind will go. The mind is the sum parts of all your experiences. So your mind says you can do this, you can do that, you can't do that. So it's kind of limiting. But your intuition, this intuition though. And your mind can only see what's in front of you. The intuition can see around the bend, and the intuition can also see your arc, your journey of life. And I really believe that. And I think so. The intuition goes, this might seem mad at this stage, but and you go and you double again, but this feels really good. And that's what we must do. We must follow that thing. And we're like, I don't understand it, and it might not make sense now. But you can be sure if you do that, at some later stage, it'll make sense. But what's also true about intuition, it's almost like a muscle that has to be used. So again, you have to look after your intuition. Yeah. Your intuition needs nurturing. And I've learned that over the years. There are things you do and don't do that help sharpen your intuition, those which also dull it, and blunt it.
So how do you keep your intuition honed?
I think humility is a big part of that. Gratitude, for my spiritual practice, things to avoid, drugs. Cocaine and things like that. They're not great for your intuition. And I don't know. I've met some. I don't know.
I've had some conversations.
Well, the thing is, when you're on,
when got things going, they know what's going on.
No, that's true. But I think, but it's not a long-term solution.
Yeah.
I think those things can be. That's why people get into them. They go super quick, and they're like, wow, but it won't last.
Yeah.
And so I think it's, for me, it's like, and relying on it and taking time out and stillness. I think stillness, I have a strong meditative practice. So I think all these things, and listening and kind of honoring as well what you feel and your truth. I think that's super important, because it's like, rather than doing the shoulds, it's like, what do I feel? What do I really feel? And I think, again, if you keep doing that with your intuition, then your intuition gets stronger and rewards you. And it's like it builds up its own confidence, or it becomes stronger like a muscle.
Yeah. When do you think you learned this?
Oh, that's a really good question. I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I've been on this spiritual journey. I call it spiritual journey. I've been on this journey, like, essentially it started off as a journey of healing. And it's been going on since about 2002. Wow. It's a really good, I don't know, there was no eureka moment, but on my journey, on healing, trying to heal myself and become whole, if you like, what I found is it's just been a series of things that you do, and you work out things that work for you and don't work for you. And then it's just, and it can be everything from nutrition to meditation to the people you hang out with, being a good gatekeeper, yoga, all these things. I mean, you know, it's really interesting. So I don't think there was any moment, and, you know, listen, someone could turn around and go, that's bullshit. And I go, yeah, you're probably right. I don't, but I'm just, I guess I'm a seeker.
You seem like a seeker.
I'm a seeker. I'm definitely a seeker.
And that's probably been true always, right?
Always. And like, I remember like at school, like, you know, we'd have these lectures when you're 17, 18, every week you have visiting lectures, and you know, you'd have, like, we were in Oxford, so you'd have an Oxford academic and you'd have a lawyer. And then I remember one week there was this guy who came along, and he was talking about Tibet, and he was talking about spirituality and Buddhism, and all my mates are kind of like, fucking hippie. This is like 1985. And I'm like transfixed. And, you know, there was this thing that if you could go and have a coffee with the lecturer afterwards, and I was straight, and I was the only guy there, and I was just like fascinated. So it's in my DNA. It's like I grew up so there was Oxford, but when my parents split up, we moved to West Oxfordshire, and it's very old Britain. It's about 2 miles from this place called White Horse Hill, Uffington White Horse. This beautiful chalk white horse in the hill. It's a beautiful image. It's the front cover of English Settlement by XTC.
Oh, right.
Because they were from Swindon, just down the road. But it's an ancient part of Britain, and Avebury's down the road. So I was always drawn to, I guess, places, old power, nodes of power, spirit, places, you know. So again, I followed my intuition, and music's great for that, because, you know, how many musicians, well, we were talking about Led Zeppelin earlier. I mean, that's steeped in it, and you think it, like, you know, talking about Earth, Wind and Fire, and so it's in this music. So I think it's a natural thing. So I'm just seeking. I'm just sort of eyes open, and also about 20 years ago, I did this thing where I was just like, I'm not going to let my creative or my critical faculty get in the way of anything, because it's very easy to go, what are you doing that for? You come from Oxford. How can you empirically prove that? You know, where's the academic rigor? I let that go, and I said, I'm going to read everything and anything, and I'm going to just see how it sits, and I'm going to experience stuff. I've been to Brazil to see healers and, you know, all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to experience it and see how that feels, and then I'll decide, you know, what do I resonate with? So, amazing. And it just carries on. So,
and that goes back. I mean, it's like, you know, the Tibetan Buddhist guy giving a lecture at your university. It's like the one thing university couldn't give you, or wasn't supposed to give you, but it somehow did.
It did.
Was that, you know?
And it's so brilliant. And I what I love about life is that you realize you're given, or I feel I've been given these little markers along the way, and they could be the parents of a friend when you're growing up, who were the only bohemian couple that you knew, who he was a writer and an artist, and you go in their house, and it was just like, oh my God, it can be like this. Family can be like this. So we're given all these little things, and like I said, I really sense that the universe gives each of us what the circumstance. Well, certainly given me the circumstances in order to evolve, and the things around me. It's my decision whether my eyes and ears are open to that stuff.
Yeah, amazing. You brought up Brazil,
so
we should maybe go to Obrigado.
Yeah, great.
As I was listening to the record without looking at the titles. I was just listening, and I was like, man, it's not like, I was like, is there something Brazilian going on with this? And I looked at the title, I go,
yeah,
there we go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Eska.
Spirit of the rising sun, lift me up and keep me warm in your embrace. Every day a symphony, the birds are singing heavenly. You rescue me, and if the sun is here anymore, and if the sun is here anymore.
Forgive me for turning.
No, it's fine.
So many nice little touches. So many nice touches.
Thank you. It's nice to hear it on a big system, actually. I haven't heard it that loud. With lots of sub.
It's great.
Yeah.
I love it. It's the groove is subtle,
right.
and then it opens up, and it's just
Yeah.
and it's full on. You know,
Yeah.
at that point, it's amazing. And then all the nice little little synth that was going on right
Yeah,
there in the
little
background.
Selena strings, rather, yeah.
Is that what it was? Okay,
Yeah.
And who was that singing in the? On
That's Eska.
Okay.
She's amazing. She's going to be. We're all going to go out on tour. Eska and Dave play guitar, and yeah, she's just a beautiful singer.
Wow.
Yeah.
When are you guys going out?
We're going to go out in October in Europe, and hopefully, economics dependently, but we've got to come. I mean, having spent like 2 days in LA, I'm like, I want to come to LA and play this.
Let's book it tonight.
Yeah,
where can we do it tonight?
I want to get the party, and I want to get the vibe, and I feel like it'd be such a great place to come here. The connections and meeting people like yourself. It's like it feels like it's open. It's got the sadness, but it's got the joy in there as well.
Yeah, well, not to get derailed, but it's interesting. There's a lot of bad will towards Los Angeles lately for some reason, and
why is
living
that?
here, I don't feel it. So
No.
it's weird. I hear it a lot. I hear it.
Well, people
everywhere,
love it.
but
People get
it's
jealous. Don't
Pretty great.
They're
place.
jealous.
People are leaving here, though. So I don't know.
Are
Some
they?
jealousy? People from here are leaving here.
Wow.
Obrigado. I mean, did that come from a visit to Brazil? You had mentioned spending some time there.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time in Brazil, and I love Brazilian music. And we went to live there. My family, we went to live there for about 6-7 months a few years ago. Awesome. It's always been there, and for me, it's the whole thing about Brazil. It's the people, it's the land, it's the music, it's the soccer, it's the love, it's the spirituality, it's the dance, and it's a tough place to live. There's poverty's, they've got real problems, economic problems in terms of the division of wealth. But, Lula and Dilma and the Workers' Party have done amazing things in the last 20 years. So there's an emerging middle class. It's just a beautiful, it's funny. It's one of those things. Have you ever been to Brazil?
I've not. It's on top of my list.
Well, you should go. What I love it feels like every color under the sun.
Yeah.
You've got a Japanese community that have lived there for 100 years, and they're Japanese, but they're Brazilian. And it's got, it's just beautiful. And
they deal with it different than the States and England in terms of the diversity is dealt with differently.
100%. And I remember I had a, when I first went to Brazil with my wife in 2001, we happened to be on the same flight as a couple of friends. And one of my friends, this guy called Trevor, he's Black British, and he'd never been to Brazil. None of us had been to Brazil, and we we were staying in Rio, and 5 days later we bumped into them on Ipanema, and we went for a drink, and Trevor was really, and I said, Trevor, how are you finding it? He said, I feel comfortable in my skin finally. He said,
wow.
You know, even in Britain, you know, I've grown up with this, you know, having to be very conscious of being black.
Yeah.
He said, I come to Brazil, I'm home.
Yeah.
You know, well, and, you know, Brazil took the most amount of slaves from West Africa.
Yeah.
Bahia, this incredible state, which is kind of like my favorite place in Brazil, is the black state. You know, it's where they had the most slaves, and the music and the culture and candomblé. It's like, and what I love about it is, you know, that it's like, it's just seemed the assimilation is just softer, and, you know, obviously in America you've had serious problems with that.
Yeah.
And we did in Britain as well. You know, we were an empire, terrible empire. But Brazil, for whatever reason, and the Portuguese weren't great either, but it seems to be almost, I don't know, it just seems to be a bit more of a melting pot. And, you know, and music there is, you know, you've got the rhythm of Africa and the spirit, but you've got some of the little melodies from the Portuguese.
From Portuguese, yeah.
Where do you have this?
Which is so specific. It's such a specific flavor of melody.
Yeah.
That gives it this.
And when you hear the samba, like Carnival Samba, it's extraordinary. We went to Carnival in Brazil, in Rio in 2013, and you really get it there because they're very tight about the music. So the bateria, the drums, it's all, I mean, it's West African, right? It's. But then they've got these little, I can't remember, cavaquinos, are they called, these little 8-string kind of mandolins?
Oh, amazing.
And they're diggy, and they're just like European, kind of like, they're like almost fado-esque kind of.
It's like that high pitch.
Yeah, but it's a heady brew, and like, I mean, talk about trance music.
Yeah.
That is the first trance music. You go to, you know, because Carnival runs from 10 at night through to 6 in the morning. And they're very specific. So samba has this very specific tempo. And part of the battery, you get the rhythmic and the drums and stuff, but underpinning it, these big bass drums, and they go boom, 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 boom. Wow. And that's the tempo with all 6 samba schools each night. It's over 2 nights, so 12 sambas. And you go to bed at 7 in the morning and you just boom, boom, boom. It's like it's incredible.
That's awesome.
You get into this state, and the rhythm is like these polyrhythms, and it's just like, I mean, it's like rhythmic jazz.
Yeah.
And what's so amazing is like the battery will do some kind of rhythmic, polyrhythmic move. And not only the musicians get it, but the whole audience, because they're so savvy, they go, and you can hear the cheers. And as a British man, I'm like, well, it sounds good, but I didn't understand that significant moment.
Yeah.
But
it's a subtle
all,
thing.
Yeah, and they all go, oh,
yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's just such an extraordinary country.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I love it.
I can't wait to go. The music is just, it's unbelievable.
It's next level, right?
Speaking of, there's that famous Quincy Jones interview. We were talking about him earlier. Where he interjects it. He's talking about something wild.
Yeah.
And he goes to the interviewer, you like Brazilian music?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, so funny, but also at the same time, it's like, yeah, Quincy, that's right. You just tell everyone, because it's some of the best music in the
unbelievable
world that I've heard.
And like those composers, and go back to Jobim and all those. I mean, what they were doing, and then taking the beauty and the subtleness of samba. It's all in there. It's so yeah,
absolutely. Tell me about the recorded 432. Tell me about.
Do you know
that.
anything about it?
Minimal.
So standard tuning, our tuning has been standardized since the end of the 1930s. Middle A equals 440 hertz. So you get a tuner, that's how.
Middle A being right next to middle C.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. So middle A is 440 hertz. There is a whole, music used to fluctuate a bit more because they didn't have tuners. And there's a whole, I've been on this journey now for about 14 years. And there was this whole school of thought that a lot of old music up until the end of the 19th century was played and obviously composed at 432 hertz. And the idea being is that it's more whole. And there's this, have you heard of cymatics, where they blow frequencies, sound waves at sand, and they form patterns. Now at 440 hertz, it's kind of frazzled.
Yeah.
At 432 hertz, perfect geometric patterns.
Wow.
So that's what it's doing to your cells and your body. So I'm really interested in that idea of music it's not just nice on the ear. There's something that goes on a sort of cellular, deeper level. And I did an interview with Rolling Stone the other week, and James Blake has gone, I think he's gone 432, Ziggy Marley. There's a whole movement. Shabaka Hutchings, who played on this record, I had a conversation with him about, the reason he came and played on the record is I had a conversation about 432, and I think a lot of people opening up to it. And for me, I feel it makes the music more whole. Now, a lot of people go, oh, you're full of, what do you know? But I feel it. And so I think I'm really keen to really go for it. So it's easy for a guitar to be 432 hertz, but a keyboard, piano. So I committed to it. I had our piano tuned to 432. I got a Rhodes tuned to 432. I'm going to experiment actually at 444, slightly sharper. But I'm really interested in...
It's a lot of classicals at like 442, right?
Concert pitch is 442.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm really interested in just like... It used to be varied. And I don't like things when they get locked in and standardized. It's like, this is the rule. A must equals 440 hertz. And it's great because it's a bit of a rabbit hole. But there's some very interesting theories about this. Like, there's this whole thing how the Nazis standardized tuning at 440 hertz. There's all this stuff. I don't know, because, like any information at the moment, you don't know whether it's true or not.
You gotta,
But you just got to go on what you feel.
Yeah.
And also, there is some science behind it.
Yeah. Maybe it's just the music, but you kind of feel something listening to this. And it could just be the music, but maybe it's also some of the tuning.
It's everything. I think it's everything. And it's interesting because a lot of people said, oh yeah, I put the record on, it sort of makes me feel calm. And that's what 432 does. Yeah. It's more whole. Yeah. And remember, we are all frequencies. Everything in this room, all of us, we're frequencies. The future medicine will be frequential healing. That illness that you have that flu you have is at a certain frequency. So, like homeopathy, you match it with another frequency, the same frequency.
And knock it out.
Yeah. So we are all frequencies. So there's science in there.
Wow. I'm gonna do a deep dive on it.
Do it.
I'm gonna do a deep dive on it now. I feel like I could change my whole life. Just a couple random last questions.
Sure.
Always wanted to ask, and I don't know, this maybe this is maybe this gets on your bad side. The pretty things in the Square and Paranoid Android.
The pretty.
Have you ever
things?
heard the similarities between the two?
No.
I was always just curious. Can I play the pretty?
Sure.
Things? We can cut it if it gets.
No, I'm curious. Do people think it's some kind of lift?
Well, I don't know. I've always just kind of heard it that way.
Oh, that's interesting.
Not a lift per se.
I'll be completely honest, obviously, if we were influenced by it. Or maybe I wouldn't.
Maybe you won't. I don't know. We can cut it if you.
Quick! Don't mention the pretty things. Yeah, no, I've never heard the pretty things.
Have you heard that? Have you heard that Parachute? It came out in.
No, I've never. I don't even know the pretty things.
Oh, it's a really good album. Oh, there's this song on it, and they have like a bit of the top of the album after like the second song. They do a bit of like a medley, Abbey Road style kind of medley. But at the top of the album, this is one of the.
It's good, isn't it? It's nice, kind of that era.
Yeah. It was like in Melody Maker or something. It was like right behind Let It Be or something further. Like it was number 2 for like album of the year, 1970 or something. But kind of got lots of time.
Yeah, I don't know this. I'm gonna listen. Oh wow. See, we go major there. That's minor.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. There's a switch. Okay, you go major.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, they say minor. So that it's G minor, F over, G minor, and then we go major, E major. That stays at E minor.
Okay.
I think,
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's wow.
Woo. Different enough. They go major.
Tom? Yeah, no, I mean, but also I remember when I first heard that when, we in the rehearsal studio, and Tom sort of brought that in, and I think that was it's very Morricone chord change as well. Like we were listening to a lot of Morricone. So I think what I loved about when he brought that in was suddenly like that song and that actually those chords, well, all of them, because they were very Latin, they felt very Latin. It suddenly we went more widescreen.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's really interesting. Yeah, I'm going to check that out.
I'm glad you heard it too.
No.
Kind of going
it's
nuts.
The same. It's the same step down, and it is the G minor with the F over the G minor.
But I mean, know, I'm sure it's all good.
Wow. Okay.
I've revisited Hail to the Thief.
Yeah.
A lot the last
interesting
3 years. Like a lot.
Yeah.
It feels like it has its own. I mean, every album sort of does. Even Kid A and Amnesiac, even though I know they get groups together quite a bit, have a distinct feel. But there's something really about Hail to the Thief that feels somehow like the perfect balance of everything that came before it.
Wow, that's I
don't know if you hear that or feel that.
Well, it's interesting. So that is interesting because that was Hail to the Thief was a response to when we made Kid A and Amnesiac. Those songs were largely conceived in the studio, and we learnt how to play them out on the road, and we felt like we were bringing life. So that tour for Kid A was obviously playing stuff from OK Computer and the Bends, but also interpreting the stuff from Kid A. And I think it was the first time that we had to expand our kind of our palette in terms of, how we got those songs, how we did those songs on Kid A and Amnesiac live.
Right.
And I think you're right that it's true that, and come and think of it, so we were excited by the way we changed as a live band. Making those two albums changed us. We had to bring in more stuff. And I think Hail to the Thief was, we didn't want to go back into the studio for a really long time. We just didn't want to go through that intense period that Kid A and Amnesiac was. So we were sort of letting go a bit more and just doing what we were doing live. So yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I think you're right there.
So Kid A and Amnesiac did feel a little. It felt intense in that it wasn't. You weren't. I guess it wasn't the band in its natural state.
No,
in a way,
exactly.
right?
No, completely. And it was forcing. It was like an art school. It was very much a Bowie thing. It's like, we're going to change tack here.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of music. We didn't know exactly what it would be like, but Tom was like, I'm done with melody and more rhythm and more textures, because you can't force those things on. They have to sound natural, but it wasn't the natural state of the band. We were becoming something else. And there was a lot of stuff on there that was played as a band, but it was juxtaposed with a lot of stuff that we were stretching out using different instruments and different types of songs and samples and all sorts.
It's still a hell of a catalog. It's like, I mean, to contend with. You go, but I'll go away from it for a long time and I come back and it's like, it's still there. It's still
what
amazing.
was fun? One of the funny things about, because we did the shows last year, and it might sound a bit weird, this, but one of the really lovely things was in the process of it, like when rehearsing, I was like, yeah, these are really good songs. In a way, I appreciate them in a way that I'd never appreciated them before, because you're just doing it.
Yeah.
But then you stop doing it. And also, I guess the other thing is that it was the first time that we weren't doing new material. So that whole thing was, you could kind of really feel the songs in a way that we haven't before, in terms of, their eras of our life, but also the beauty of the songs and the beauty of the way we play them.
Yeah.
And that was really lovely. And I could really understand, in a way, I could feel the emotions of the songs. Like, I could understand why people liked us, which, before, I wasn't shocked, but I didn't fully understand it. But I understood. I was like, oh yeah, these are, and like you said, there's a lot of really good songs there. And you can have two sets of quite different material each night, and they're all pretty strong. So, yeah, I think, it's a good place to be.
Do you think you guys are playing them different on this last tour? Or do you like...
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny because you don't want to get too slick with Radiohead songs. It's like you need to have some jeopardy.
Okay.
You need to feel like at times it's going to all fall over the edge, and that's really good. Because we've always there's always been a slight kind of nail-biting element to what we do, because, the place we've been. However, what's lovely is that we can play songs like Present Tense, which is essentially, I've always loved it because it feels like a Brazilian song off A Moon-Shaped Pool. But what's so lovely is that we've now got because there's one thing being edgy, and that's fine. There's one thing doing that, and we could do that. But there's another thing, be able to play with softness, and I think we're able to do that now. That we're not panicking, we're appreciating, and we're in a calmer place. And so the songs that merit that, the ones that need that, we're reaching places that we've never reached before in those songs, because they need you to sort of embody that looseness and no tension, and
What songs did feel like that for you, or feel like they need?
Like Present Tense, I think Pyramid Song, Benefited. I think it's that thing of, I think as you get older, I guess it's a bit like being a method actor or something, that you find the state that you need to be. So a song like, it's interesting. It's a good question. I don't know quite the answer to that, because I was just about to say, like, off Kid A, National Anthem, which was and recorded really spiky, but the way we were playing it, actually it had an edge, but it becomes like a deeper beast.
Wow.
Like the bass and the groove is deeper, and then when we go into the outro, and it's just like, and I remember Tom started playing this kind of major seventh kind of lick, and we're like, oh yeah, we're fucking in this place, and it's like, whoa, it's like, so yeah, I think we can get deeper in terms of a deeper groove, and we it's just like, it's fatter.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man.
Which is nice, which we weren't before. I always thought we were better. I always remember I'm laughing, when we played Coachella in 2012, we headlined one night and we did it, and I stayed the next night for Dre and Snoop were doing their thing, and it was the year that the Tupac hologram.
I was there.
Yeah, right?
Unbelievable.
Okay.
It's a weird moment.
And I had some of those chocolate mushrooms I stayed on. And, it was very lovely. I walked out, I was, do you want to come and see? I was like, yeah, of course I do. It's like, and I remember, like, the first song, ushering in the VIP thing, you stand, it's amazing. You walk in front of the bass bins, in front of the audience, and you walk down the middle, and you stand there, and it's, And I remember watching that show, and the bass and the sound, and I was just like, man, shit, this makes us look like a fucking string quartet, And I think we've always longed to, we've always longed to have a bit of that West Coast, or whatever, that depth, that bass. And I think not that we're there, but it's work in progress.
Look, man, I think the next record, you send it to Dre and get that mix.
Do you know my dream? When no kidding, this is the thing, I don't think I've ever said this. My dream was like on Kid A, it was like the year of reinvention. I was so into Dre I loved everything he did. So we're talking 2000s. And I remember No Diggity had just come out. And I was just like, fuck, how cool would it be for Radiohead to work with Dr. Dre? I would have loved that. I would have been a pig in shit.
Man, that would have been incredible.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure about that. I mean, he might not put up with us, and we,
I don't know. It
was just like a dream in another world, in a parallel universe. We'd have gone in and done a record with Dre, and because that's what Bowie would have done, right? Bowie, if he was of the same era, he'd gone like, because, you think about him when he did Young Americans.
Yeah.
He goes, I want that Philly sound.
Yeah.
Well, that equivalent for us would have been like, I want some of that West Coast.
Yeah.
California, and juxtapose that with our gnarly thingy, whatever we did. Anyway, I just thought he could take, because we had riffs galore.
Yeah.
And we had pockets and grooves galore that even if we didn't, we sent him a load of stuff and, because he was always the best at sampling and what he did and right and taking what he did.
And
So-
and he would use live, like he had live players play things. He had his guys. He'd be like,
Exactly.
we're gonna take this from Joe Cocker, but you're gonna play it and we're gonna chop it like that.
And I always felt like we had the potential I was always delighted, like when anyone of that world sampled us,
Really?
Oh, I loved it because that meant that, it meant that you were, there was a bit of a groove to what you did. That was so much of the music that we listened to,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Maybe another lifetime, if not this one.
It is. It's one for another lifetime. It's another reincarnation with Dre and another reincarnation.
We'll dream it. We'll dream it, though. Man, it's great talking to you.
Lovely
Thank you so much,
to you.
man.
Thank
Beautiful
you.
record.
Thank you so much.
Glad we got to listen to some of it and talk about it.
Yeah,
And
that was
thank you,
beautiful.
man.
Thanks, Justin.
Yeah, thank you.
Beautiful. Thanks.
Thanks for checking out Broken Record on YouTube. If you want to listen to us on the go, be sure to subscribe to Broken Record wherever you listen to podcasts.